Alright, what's up everybody? How you guys doing today? As you guys can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be going over recoil control and overall some other things I think are going to affect it, such as your attachments or how you practice, say, warming up in terrace hunts, as well as your aim in general. So I think this is going to be a great overall guide for you guys. So I hope you guys look forward to the rest of this video. I'm excited to make it for you guys. Alright, so first and foremost, hopefully you guys like this camera so you guys can see what I'm doing with my mouse over here. And I'm just going to go into a few things. I'm going to start off with recoil control, and then I'm going to go into things like your attachments, as well as the way you practice and some other things like that, and aim just in general, I should say. I chose sledge mainly because I know a lot of people want to learn how to control recoil considering the SMG11 here, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So first and foremost, I'd say practice your recoil at around 5 meters and around 10 meters, because that's when I find myself to be in the most gunfights, is around these ranges. So let's just get lined up at 5. So first and foremost, as you guys can see here, I'm going to lift up my mouse. Alright, I'm just going to shoot to show you guys what the recoil pattern is. So right here, this is the recoil pattern of the L8. As we can see, it goes up and to the left. Alright, and so in order to control your recoil, what we want to do is counter this up and to the left. So what we want to do is we want to go down and to the right. Alright, so that's what we're going to do right here. And feel free to watch how I'm doing it with my mouse. Alright, so down and to the right. As you can tell, this is a lot tighter than that right there. And then same thing, so I'll show you guys it at 10. Again, I'm going to lift up my mouse so you can see the recoil pattern right there. As you can tell, at 10 meters, it's a lot different than it was at 5 meters. So again, let's mark and go back to 10 meters. And this one, we're going to have to pull down and to the right more. So as we can tell, this is a lot harder than as we were at 5 meters, but nonetheless, this is way better than if we were to not control the recoil whatsoever. And so next, I'll just cover the SMG11 because I know a lot of people are interested in this gun. We'll go around 5 meters, again holding it up so you guys can see the recoil pattern. There you guys go. So we're going to have to pull, so it goes up to the left, and then just goes up again. So in this case, what we're going to want to do is we're going to pull down to the right, and then down again. So hopefully I can pull this off pretty well. I'm not that good at SMG11, but we'll see here, I guess. Well, no matter what, that's definitely better than just letting the recoil do its own course. Of course, it's, again, not as good as if we were to run on the L8, because the L8 has a better recoil than the SMG11 here. Of course, same thing. I mean, I personally don't run SMG11 at more than 10 range, or at least I try not to. But yeah, I mean, overall, considering SMG11 specifically, I would say to you guys, I'd say shooting bursts, because it's a lot more reasonable to control. As you can see, 2 shots right there, they're around the same place. If you're aiming around their chest and it does this type of recoil, you know, you're probably gonna hit their head. Besides that, let's move on to the next thing that I do want to talk about. So we're just going to use this pull over here for an example of what I want to talk about. Real quick, I will show you guys my sensitivity, because this is what's going to be important going into aim. So 6683. So this is your horizontal. I'm going to refer to it as the x-axis sensitivity. Vertical, I'm going to consider it the y-axis sensitivity. Then aim down sights, I'm going to call it ADS. Alright. So first and foremost, if I drag my mouse over here from the left side, all the way on the left side, all the way to the right, I should be able to do around a 360. So if I'm just doing this in regular games, I want it to be around 360 if I'm going full length left to right. Personally, I like being able to do a 180 with my normal turns, which as you can see here, I'm about doing it right here, a 180. That's besides the point. That's kind of standard though, you know, so fix your X and Y axis based on your full left to right or right to left 360s. Moving on from that, I want to talk about what I like to call overshooting and undershooting. So I'll show it to you guys right here. Let's just get around 5 meters from this pole. So overshooting is when we go past our target. So when we overshoot, right here, I'm going over the target. I'm not landing on the target. I'm going over it from where I'm shooting. So say I'm going left to right. I'm going too far to the right. I call that overshooting. And then say I'm going left to right again, except for I go too little to the right, so I'm not getting close enough to the target. I call that undershooting. So something I just want to real quickly talk about is when you overshoot, you want to turn down your ADS sensitivity. So, for example, I'm at 83 right here. I'd want to turn it down around 3 to 5 points. So if I overshoot, say I overshoot by a whole lot, you know, I can't even see my target. You're going to want to turn down your sensitivity around 5 to 10 and mess around with it from there. And then like I said, if you undershoot, you actually want to turn up your sensitivity. So say I undershot, but I was really close, I might want to turn up my sensitivity on my ADS around 3 points. Or say I undershot by a lot, I might want to up my ADS by around 5 to 10. Or even 8 as well. Just mess around with it. That's some nice things that is a really quick and easy fix. But I did want to get into how you should be going about training or warming up in a sense. And this can just be very simply running through your terrace hunts. The main things that I want to talk about are how you should run through your terrace hunts and what you should be looking for. So when you're running your primary, an auto weapon, an automatic weapon, so it's not something like a DMR, it's going to be something that like an AR or an SMG. So if you're running something like this, you're going to be wanting to watch your recoil control, alright? And this goes for automatic weapons like SMGs and ARs. The other thing I would love to talk about is also to practice with your secondaries. Something that I think not a lot of people do is practice with their secondaries, and you can really tell because, for example, SMG-11, if you aren't working out on your secondary for recoil control, when you have to rely on your secondary, you won't get too far, and it really shows, especially for the people that you're going up against. Now I die right here. There we go. But yeah, it really shows. Main thing, just overall, don't neglect your secondaries. And then some other things I want to talk about, but I just don't want to record right now, is also practicing with shotguns and DMRs. So considering shotguns, if you're going to run a shotgun for your terrace hunt, I'd say that's mainly to figure out your X and Y axis sensitivity. So again, think about the overshooting and undershooting and increase or decrease it based on 1 or 2, mainly for X and Y. And then some other things is if you're running a DMR, I'd say that's to mainly check your ADS because it'll be really easy to tell when you overshoot or undershoot. That's just some things I want to talk about, but I don't necessarily want to show you guys in video. Let's move on to the last part, which we're going to talk about, which is attachments. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, like I said, was your attachments. So the main things I want to talk about considering attachments are your sights. So for example, right here, I'm running a hollow on this weapon. And so the things I want to talk about is how your sights affect your recoil. So for example, a hollow sight is a little bit more zoomed in than something like a red dot, reflex, or even your iron sights. And knowing that, when you shoot, your recoil is going to be a little bit more effective, as in you'll be able to notice your recoil more when you have something like your hollow over something like a reflex or a red dot. Overall, just to quickly cover it, a reflex or a red dot sight will give you the lowest amount of recoil that you're overall going to have to control. A holographic sight, you're going to get a little bit more recoil, but you will be zoomed in so you can see things a little bit more detailed. And lastly, your ACOG, you'll be able to be zoomed in a lot, and so you'll be able to see things closer up and in detail, although your recoil will be a little bit more relevant because since you're zoomed in, your recoil will seem to be more effective against you than if you were to have something like your red dot or your reflex. So keep that in mind. Some things that I like to keep that in mind for are if I'm playing, say, like a roamer, a fragger op, I'd usually want to run no more than a holographic sight. So I usually run reflex or hollow on things like Jaeger or Ash or Zofia. And then say I'm playing more of a support role, so I'm gonna have an ACOG, or you know, I'm gonna have overall a lower recoil pattern with the guns. I'm okay with using ACOGs because it won't affect me as much. Something else that I want to talk about is leaning to help your aim. So for example, I know that my aim right now is a lot higher than I usually play on for my ADS. And so knowing that, I usually overshoot my target. So again, we'll use this pull as an example. Again, so this is overshooting. When I go over the target, when I'm coming left to right, I go more right than I'm supposed to. So a real quick way that I like to fix my aim, or at least help assist my aim so I hit more of my shots, is actually leaning. So for example, if I overshoot but then I lean to my left, I get closer to my target. And so same thing, if I undershoot but I lean to my right, I get closer to my target. So it's something that happens to come naturally for me, although I know other people will have to adjust it to them. But yeah, overall it's just something to think about. So again, overshoot, you'll lean to your left. If you undershoot, you'll lean to your right. Yeah, I hope this helps you all out. I'd appreciate it if you guys who are subscribed turn on your notifications to be notified whenever I do videos. I'm now uploading Wednesdays and Saturdays, as well as I'm always streaming over on Mondays. Also, I just want to say I'm thinking about changing up my logo. So if you see a different avatar or profile picture and it doesn't look familiar, go ahead and click on it. It is probably me. Just wanted to let you guys know. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to share this with a friend who might need help with their aim, recoil, or anything like that. Appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.